And I actually used a technique recently to actually manifest a new car into my life. It's actually a Shelby GT500. Today I have a very powerful success story where a woman visualized something in her mind, or she just allowed a vision of something to dance in her mind just for a second, just created this image in her mind really briefly. And she actually manifested something almost instantly to come into her world. So I'm going to share that success story, this magical success story with you today. This is out of Neville Goddard's Law and Promise. But before I get into this success story, I want to challenge everyone to actually practice this. Even if it's something very brief, say you can't focus on something for long periods of time, or you don't want to do all of this repetition work all the time. You don't want to spend 30 minutes before you're going to fall asleep to create something. That's why this story is so magical, because she only imagines this or pictures it, or like she says, she lets it dance in her mind just for a brief second, and then it comes into her world almost instantly. So let's begin with the story, the success story right here. One day during a bus strike, I needed to go into the downtown area and had to walk 10 blocks from my home to the nearest bus in operation. Before starting home, I recalled there was no food market on this new route, and I wouldn't be able to shop for dinner. I had enough to manage a potluck meal, but I would need bread. After shopping all day, the 10 blocks back from the bus line was all I could manage, and to go still further to shop for bread was out of the question. So this is what she did right here. This is what she imagined just briefly because of her food situation. So this may be something very, very small or minuscule, but you can use this technique for anything that you're trying to create very quickly. Like if something's going wrong in your life, imagine that you already have it. See it in your mind's eye, the thing that you're trying to manifest, whether that's a parking spot or a specific amount of money that you need like ASAP. Like if it's like $100 or $500 or even $20, you can just imagine the $20 bill or the $100 bill in your mind just for a second, and then see if it appears or watch it appear in your world, like something magical to happen to you where it actually appears in her world, kind of like what she does right here. So this is what she does. She stood very still just for a moment and allowed a vision of bread to dance in her mind. So just for a very, maybe for a couple seconds, she just visioned the bread in her imagination. So she imaged this in her mind, whether her eyes were closed or whether they were open, it didn't matter. She pictured it in her mind. Then it almost instantly comes into her world. So then she started for home. Okay, so after she visualized this bread in her mind just for a brief second, then she started for home. When she boarded the bus, she was so tired that she had grabbed the first available seat and almost sat on a paper bag on the bus. So now on a crowded bus, tired passengers rarely looked directly at one another. So being naturally curious, she peeked into the bag that she almost sat on. So she got on this bus and she was so tired, she just grabbed the very first seat that was available, and she almost sat on this paper bag. So then she looks into this paper bag. She decides to go ahead and peek inside this paper bag. And in this bag, it happens to be a loaf of bread, and not just any bread, but the very same brand of bread that she always buys. Okay, so this cannot be considered a coincidence. This is something that is very magical in my eyes, and I've actually used this technique before, and I actually use this technique now. Like if I'm having a very busy day and there's a lot of things going on in my world and I need something to happen like immediately, whether I'm at a restaurant or I'm out and about doing some things, like if I'm trying to manifest something, I'll visualize it in my mind. I'll picture something in my mind, and just see the thing that I want in my mind. I'll close my eyes just for a brief second, and then I'll just allow the thing to come to me, just picturing it for a few seconds. Usually this is something small that I need like almost instantly. I'll create it this way. But if it's something much bigger, like I'm trying to change my concept of myself, or I'm trying to create something much bigger than that, I'll fall asleep with it, or I'll use affirmations throughout the day, or I'll create a visual scene like a movie clip in my mind and fall asleep with it. And I actually used a technique recently to actually manifest a new car into my life. It's actually a Shelby GT500. And I manifested this car by using the movie technique or the goal slides, imagining a specific scene before I went to sleep at night and picturing the car exactly how I wanted it to be, the color, everything, the inside, the seats, everything that I wanted it to be. I created this, and everything in my 3D world was telling me that you couldn't find one of these cars because they're very uncommon to find, especially locally. I wanted to find this locally and create something, where I could just drive 20, 30 minutes and go pick it up and create this. But what happened was I was led through a sequence of events where I met certain people, and actually they were asking me, why don't you get this car? Why don't you get that car? And I was like, I was looking at this other car, and they said, well, there's actually one that just showed up at this dealership. So then I contacted this dealership, this Porsche dealership, and I started to communicate with them through text about the car. And everything was transitioning, and the price that they wanted for the car was a little bit above the market value. It was a pretty fair value because this car is so hard to find that it's just a very difficult car to find. There's only a certain amount of these cars that were even made, and especially finding one locally like this. So they had a set price, but I wanted it for another price. So what I did was when they gave me the price, as low as they would absolutely go on the vehicle, I visualized just for a brief second, the number. I saw the number of the price that I wanted the car, and I did this just like this story where she did it she allowed this vision in her mind just for a moment. And then after I did that, I sent the text message back to the dealer about the price that I would do. I said, if you can do it for this price right now, if you can do it for this price, you have a cash deal today. I'll come in there today with cash and buy this vehicle. And then they texted me back, said they had to contact the general manager of the dealership. And within just a few minutes, I got a text message back from the salesperson at the dealership and said, if you can come in today with cash, the car is yours at that price. The GM has just said that he will do it if you come in today with that specific amount of money, which was the exact amount, which wasn't even wavered. They didn't come back. They didn't try to meet me halfway or do anything like that. They agreed to the set amount that I visualized in my mind just for a brief second, just like this story. And they said, absolutely, we will. The GM said that he agreed that he will do that. You come in today and buy this car cash. And then I set everything up, got everything ready, drove to the dealership, test drove it. I drove it out of there for that price that day after doing this technique. So not only is this just a success story out of Neville Goddard's books that was written, I actually use this technique all the time, and it works for me. And it just takes a brief second in your mind when you're trying to create something, you're trying to change and manipulate something in your world to go the way that you want it to go. Just picture the thing in your mind just for a few seconds and allow it to go. And the more you do this, the more you actually use this, because I've been using this for years now. For years I've been doing this. So now when I do it, like it has changed my belief systems. So now I'm able to create this and I know that it works. So the more I do it, the more effective it becomes because, you're going through these trials and errors. And as you do them, it just changes your belief systems and you start actually really believing it. Because when you start manifesting things and you know that you're manifesting them by picturing something in your mind, and then it happens, and then it happens, and then it happens, and then 100 things happen, maybe 10 of them don't, but 100 of them do. Eventually you start to see these patterns and you start to see, wow, this is really, really working. These techniques actually really work. And when that happens, your awareness increases and your ability to use that increases, and you want to use it all the time because you know that it works. So start using these exercises today and start developing the new belief systems in yourself, in your imagination, and start seeing the real-time results from this. And you will see that it works. And you will start using this more and more and more and more and start manipulating your world, changing your world, start manifesting things into your world, just like I did with my brand new Shelby GT500. All right, guys, that's the end of this video, but I'm going to post a sleep meditation. It's a 21-day challenge. If you haven't already started that challenge, I walk you through the visual scene of creating a new feeling state within you, and you fall asleep in this new feeling. It's a guided visualization where I'm actually going to guide you through your new life of being a new person, being a successful, wealthy person, and then you fall asleep in this feeling. So I'm going to post that sleep meditation on the screen for you. So click on that, start using that. It's a 21-day challenge, and leave your comments and leave your testimonials about that so I can post those on the community wall for everyone, because I get those every single day. And it really shows people that these actually work, and what you fall asleep with will manifest into your 3D world if you actually do this, if you practice this. And that's why I make it super simple by actually creating guided visualizations for you as you're falling asleep. So you just allow me to actually walk you through the visualization, and then you're actually feeling it, and you fall asleep as being this new person. Because as you know, you don't get what you want in life, you get who you are. And what these meditations do is they change who you are as you're falling asleep, as you're being guided visually to this new you. All right, so I'm going to post that on the screen for you now. So click on that, do the 21-day challenge, and don't forget to give me one thing you are grateful for, or any future content you would like me to look over, or any testimonials you have. Put those in the box below. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next one.